This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. You know, when you're a fan of a particular band and you really enjoy their music and every album that comes out you go out and buy it, or these days I suppose you stream it, but you know what I'm saying, you are a voracious consumer of that particular band's product. And then suddenly there seems to be something of a change of direction and you think, what is going on here? This isn't what I signed up for. Well, for me, the early 80s were a bit like that as a Queen fan, because ironically, as the whole 70s disco Saturday Night Fever kind of dance floor beat kind of thing had pretty much fizzled out, Queen seemed to discover it. And, you know, their songs became increasingly, I think, disco, or a lot of their songs became increasingly sort of disco-orientated. And I think the low point of this was the Hot Space album. It just didn't feel like a Queen album. It just didn't. I don't think I listened to that album more than about half a dozen times and then just thought, yeah, okay, every band's allowed one stinker of an album, I suppose. And if the movie Bohemian Rhapsody is to be believed, and I know some people have some issues with the narrative in that film, but I think possibly it's broadly right in the way that it portrays things. According to that movie, it took the performance at Live Aid for the lads to think, yeah, this is what we're supposed to be about. Remember when we used to be a band that sounded like this? And, it sort of reinvigorated them. And then in 1986, along comes the A Kind of Magic album. And, tracks on that album to me just sounded like old school classic Queen. You could imagine a track like One Vision, for example, being on the same album as Now I'm Here. It just had that proper old Queen vibe to it. And one thing that Queen were always fantastic at were the big anthemic ballads. And, We Are the Champions and such like. And the big anthemic ballad from A Kind of Magic is called Friends Will Be Friends. It has a tasty little guitar solo that goes a bit like this. So that's roughly what the solo sounds like, my interpretation of it anyway. Now let's take a little bit of a look at what's going on in the solo.
Solo explanation.
I'm beginning as always by taking a look at the chord sequence the solo is played over. It goes like this. And all of those chords come from the key of G major. So we're going to be using the G major scale for for all of the notes in this solo. G major scale is G, A, B, C, D, E and F sharp. I say all of those chords come from the key of G major. The B7 doesn't. That's acting as what we call a secondary dominant chord. B7 will take us nicely to E minor. It's acting as the 5 chord of that E minor, and so it's that's the only chord that isn't sort of diatonic to the key, but we don't make any accommodations for adding notes from that chord into the solo. It's all just G major scale, and we start with this little lick here, which goes, and the significant thing about that is that as we kind of hit each chord. That's a G note there, for instance, which is landing directly on the G chord. So we're hitting the root note of the chord. So, and then we hit the D note as we get to the D chord. And then we come up to this, what I think of as like the first position G major pentatonic kind of position. I always think of these scales, whatever I'm doing, as a pentatonic with extra notes grafted on. So we're kind of up in this sort of area here. And for this little run, so that is 14 on the D string to 11 and 12 on the third string. And then we go 11, 12 and 14 on the third string. Then we go 12 and 14 on the third string, and then follow that with like the 14th fret bend. Then 15 on the B string and 12 on the top E string. So where are we? There we go. And then this kind of pre-bend and release on that same 14th fret note, that A. And once again, hitting a strong chord tone there. That E note there is the major third of the C chord, which has just arrived. And then just pretty much just a little filler lick there. 12 and 14 on the third string, up to the high E there at the 12th fret on the first string, and then we've got this lovely little descending run where we're kind of like that. So that's just 12 and 14, hammer on and pull off, and then slide down to, it's all on the third string, 12 and 14, hammer on, pull off, and slide down to 11. 11 and 12, hammer on, pull off, slide down to 9. 9 and 11, hammer on, pull off, and down to 7. So, and then this kind of basically a G major arpeggio. The 9th fret on the 4th string, 7th on the 3rd string, and then 8th on the 2nd string, basically spelling out B, D, G, kind of like a first inversion G major arpeggio. So like that, and then now this is interesting here. This is this A note here. We're kind of playing in this part of the solo now around. As I said, I tend to think of everything in pentatonic positions, and this will be position 4 of the G major pentatonic, or if you are a caged system aficionado, this would be in the C kind of shape. But anyway, this again, bending up to a strong chord tone here. We're over the G chord, and we're bending the A up to a B, which is the major third of the G chord, and then landing on the A note after that. This is where that B7 chord is coming in, and B7 has an A note in it, so he's kind of managing to target a note in the B7 chord without, which is, as I said earlier, not from the key that we're in. It's acting as like a guest chord, if you like. But there's still this A note in the scale, and maybe the F sharp as well, if you wanted to go for that, that you could use to land safely on that chord. And then bending up to the E note here, at the bending the 10th fret D note on the top E string up to an E, for the arrival of the E minor chord, the penultimate chord. And then we just do this little G major scale rundown. So sort of 10, 8, 7 on the top E string, D, C, B, and then 10 and 8 on the second string, finishing on the G note. Then we come back in with the chords, with the vocals after that on an A minor chord, where Freddie sings "It's So Easy Now." I'm not going to sing it, but you know. But that pretty much takes us to the end of the solo. Beautifully melodic solo, tasteful phrasing, strong chord note choice. It's one of those solos that you hear it a couple of times and you're humming it. It's Brian May had a knack for being able to come up with solos that would stick in your mind and became like melodies that you could hum, and they stayed with you. So that's the secret of how to do it. Good phrasing, strong chord tones, and now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it yourself. And as always, you'll find a full tab for the solo in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with that clip of me playing it, that explanation you've just seen there, and a backing track to try it out for yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description. As I'm sure you know by now, it's £3 or $3 a month, and you get access to all of these additional resources, tabs, jam tracks and stuff like that, that accompany these YouTube videos. Usually I post that kind of stuff about 3 times a week, sometimes more. And I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are downstairs in the description. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this little look at what I think is a classic Queen solo from their latter years. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it? Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and talk about stuff, music, guitars, whatever. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.